Ciao, Bella. I am Oceana Fortuna, and this is the Breathe, Love, and Magic podcast. We'll talk about a magical mix of mystical methods, including everything that works to live your best life, grow spiritually, and maybe find love. Open your heart, expand your mind, and connect with spirit to embrace the magic that is all around you. If you enjoy the show, please give it a thumbs up or write a glowing review and subscribe so you'll know when the next episode is available. And may good fortune come to all those who listen to the Breathe, Love, and Magic podcast. And now, on with the show. Today's topic for the Breathe, Love, and Magic podcast is an unusual method of divination. If you are looking for answers to your struggles, sometimes you have to think out of the box. I've been working with my intuition for more than 20 years, and I reach out to my spirit guides. I use yes-no techniques. Sometimes I pick one card or I do a full reading with a spread of cards. I've tried automatic writing. It all works well. I've done shamanic journeying, and you get insights and solutions, and it can be really helpful. Using divination methods and your intuition can take some time to develop. For me, it actually took several years of practice. I worked really hard at this. And then once I got good at it, I started teaching classes on intuition at the community college level. It was in these classes that I discovered that I was sort of the oddball, having taken so long to catch on to how to use my intuition. Turns out most people picked it up really quickly. So that is the good news. I share this story of my struggle to open up to my intuition in case you have a hard time. Please don't worry. You will get there, and most likely much faster than you might think. Even with all these tools, sometimes it still feels like I need more help, more insight, more wisdom, more explanation, or solutions. Part of my charm, I guess. I always want more. And that's how I came up with the innovative and unusual method I'm going to share today. Divination with Netflix heroes. Okay, I'm going to really expose myself here by admitting what my all-time favorite Netflix show is. It might surprise you, but not if you listen to my episode on past lives and reincarnation. Then you'll know how much I love early British Isle history after the Romans conquered and left up until the time of Queen Elizabeth I and Shakespeare. That's my little sweet spot in British Isle history. So anyway, I'm just going to say it. I can't get enough of the Last Kingdom. Besides being incredibly good-looking, the hero and main character, Uhtred, is strong and brave and wise and really strategic from a war perspective and daring. He has a great sense of humor, too, and a spiritual nature. I love this show. I've been a fan since I stumbled on the very first season and found myself falling into life in England in the 800s when the Danes ran wild over the landscape, pillaging and taking over village by village. Uhtred is of noble English stock. His father was a king or high-level lord. They left that sort of unclear. So after a battle won by the Danes in which Uhtred's father was killed, he, along with a female child named Breda, were both taken as slaves. The two grew up with the victorious Danish lord Ragnar and his family. No spoilers here because this all comes out in the first episode. So even though they're both Saxons and originally grew up as Christians, Uhtred and his girlfriend, she's not a girlfriend, but she's a friend that's a girl, Breda, learned the Viking ways and believed in their gods. The show is packed with bloody battles and intrigue and politics, strong bonds of friendship and camaraderie and love. Had a good dose of pagan spirituality, plus the history I adore, and that's why I can't get enough. Okay, so one night I was plagued by questions about my life and my business, and I was so tired of all the usual ways I sought help from the inner plane and the spirit world. I was ready for something different. I wanted some serious help with my situation and a real, clear solution. Now, I admit I'd been watching The Last Kingdom again for the second time around. Yes, not going to tell you how many times I've watched it. And it just resonated with me on such a deep level, that lifetime in England during the Middle Ages. Then, much to my surprise, Uhtred came to mind as I thought about a new method to go after the questions and answers I sought. I thought, why not? Let me ask Uhtred for help. Is this crazy? Yes, but who cares? You can get inspiration from almost anywhere if you are open to it. I decided to give it a shot. What did I have to lose anyway? Absolutely nothing as far as I could see. So I opened YouTube and played some shaman drumming to get me into that deep meditative state. Of course, I had my candle lit, I had my crystals in my hands, and then after I meditated for a while, I put it out there and I asked Uhtred for help. I called out to him in my mind and told him I wanted to be free of my limitations and fear. I continued to concentrate on wanting to release anything that was blocking me for my highest good and my path in business or in my way from progressing. Suddenly, in my mind's eye, I actually saw Uhtred with his powerful sword. He came at me with confidence and focus. I was merely standing before him, still and anticipating what would come next. I had no idea what was coming. And what happened took me completely by surprise. I was totally blown away. Uhtred brandished his sword, his famous sword, and came up to me in my vision. He held his sword straight out, horizontal to the ground, and parallel to my body, and made several large sweeping motions starting at my head. He cut close to my body, down to my feet, as if he was literally cutting the energy away from my body. He continued with this bold trimming all around my energy field, all around my body, nice and close, in my imagination, of course, until he made it all the way around. Then, much to my shock and horror, Uhtred raised his sword again and stabbed me directly in the heart. Ouch! That really scared the crap out of me, even though it was all in my head. It seemed like Uhtred had shattered something I'd been holding onto deep within my heart for far too long. And as a result, I felt something leave my body, creating a really wonderful feeling of lightness. This vision felt completely real, as if I were there with Uhtred in person. He had cut me free from the ties that were binding me. Whatever might have been holding me back was totally severed. I thanked him with my hands over my heart, and he bowed. And then I came back to the room and opened my eyes, and I was changed forever. I was shaken, completely surprised by the clarity of this vision and experience, and honestly thrilled with this little adventure and the results it produced. I let go of something, even though I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it doesn't matter. The shift occurred, which is precisely what I wanted, what I was asking for. Now, believe me, I know that this is a creation of my own mind, or a message from my higher self, or perhaps my guides came to me in the form of Uhtred as I requested. I'm not sure which one, or if somehow they're all true. And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really change the impact of the experience, which was huge. Since this worked so well, I decided to try it again a couple months later when I was again struggling. I had gotten to a point when I just wanted an answer. I needed clarity. Changes in my business were brewing, but I was uncertain and unclear about what to do, and nothing was working. I didn't understand what I was supposed to do. So I went back to ask for help from Uhtred, and this time I decided to also ask his friend Brita. While Brita is a strong woman and a fierce and accomplished warrior, she's also a very spiritual character in the story. There are scenes where she goes on a quest to understand her future, talks to a goddess, and uses magic. This time I decided to ask them both for help in what I was supposed to do and for a deeper understanding of my business situation. I lit the candles, I put on the drumming music, and I entered the meditative state. Brita came to me first, offering me a very large apple in her hand. She cut it in half then horizontally. So the star in the center so the star showed in the center that was made from the seeds. She cut it in half horizontally so you could see the star in the center that's made from how the seeds grow. Suddenly, her hand was overflowing with apple seeds, and she flung them far across the land. And as the seeds flew from her hand, a scene came into view that progressed rapidly like time lapse photography. The apple seeds sunk into the ground and quickly sprouted into seedlings. Then they rapidly grew into trees that became laden with a bounty of ripe apples. It was such a beautiful, abundant vision. I was completely mesmerized by it. Then Uhtred came into the vision, and he said to me that he saw me struggling, but he didn't understand why. To him, he said I was fighting, and he could see me fighting, but there was nothing there to fight, and no one to fight with. It turns out it was just me, fighting against myself. Uhtred reminded me that I don't have to do this. I could actually stop, let go, and let it be. After coming back to the present moment, I was astonished by both these messages, which are so different. And I am so excited to share them with you as an example of what you too can do. You are just as capable, even if you've never done this type of thing. I felt like there was a bounty for me if I would simply plant seeds. That's what Brita meant. That's what that whole vision was about. It also seemed that this was a message about creating what I wanted. If I could quit struggling against what is, or what I thought should be, I'd have more energy and enjoy a lot more of what already was happening. Why was I spending so much energy struggling when it was not needed? Such a good question, right? Really deep. So I have asked my guides many times for help, and I don't feel like I always get the help I want. It could be I'm just not listening, but these were the most vivid, colorful, vibrant, enlivening, insightful messages I had received in such a long time. Those visions, they were incredible. And they have stuck with me for many long months and have remained just as vibrant. So, what do you want to know or need help with? And who do you want to ask? Do you have a Netflix hero? Do you like Uhtred too, or Brita? Maybe there's a movie character or a comic book character you want to call upon for help. Guess what? Now you can. You can use your spidey senses or ask Spider-Man for help or Aquaman or whoever you want. This is the process for divination with your heroes from Netflix or anywhere. You could talk to gods or goddesses or anyone you want from any movie or any book or just your imagination. Here are 7 simple steps to follow for your own divination journey. Number 1, determine your question first. What do you want to know about your life? Do you have a problem you've been mulling over for some time now? Get clear about what you want to know so you can ask your question with clarity. This is the most essential thing. If you're not clear about the question, you're going to get a muddy answer. So make sure you're very clear and you word your question carefully. Number 2, choose your hero. It could be from TV, a movie, a book, the comics. You could ask one of your own ancestors for help or an ancient god or goddess. Who are your heroes? Ask Oprah. It doesn't matter. They could be alive and real or dead or whatever you want. Ben Franklin, whoever you want to talk to. Decide who your hero is before you do the exercise. Number 3, pick some music that will help you get into that meditative state. I often listen to either Frank Rotwein for the drumming, and that's F like in Frank, Rauke, and then the second word is Rotwein, Rotwein. His drumming stuff is great, and he's got a lot to choose from. Or I listen to Chakra Gold, and the whole album of Chakra Gold is also on YouTube. And that's like very relaxing yoga music. It's wonderful. And sometimes I open 2 windows and I play them both together. I know it's crazy, but the drumming is known for its power to bring you into a deeper state of meditation. And it's like an entrainment or brings on that kind of trance feeling. So the drumming really works to get your brain going in the right direction. And then the other music just makes me feel so good. It's just really light. And Chakra Gold is all about a different song for each chakra. So number 4, relax your body and breathe deeply for a few minutes. Allow yourself and your mind to drift off. If thoughts distract you, just see them float away. Don't let it worry you. Don't get stuck in it. And then when you feel ready, when you feel like you're deep enough, ask your hero your question. So actually in your mind, or if you want, do it out loud, state your question. Pose that question. What is it? What do you need to know? Number 5, wait for an answer and see what comes. You cannot force this. This is for sure. You have to give it some time, so try for at least 15 minutes. Sit back, relax, be open. Allow the information or messages to flow to you. Most of the time, you will get something. Even if it's small, you might get symbols or pictures, whatever it is that comes to you. And even if nothing comes, you've had some time to relax. And that can be a really good thing from that meditative state. So number 6 is after you receive whatever you receive, any messages or symbols or downloads of any kind, be sure to thank your hero. Speak to them like they're real and be gracious. And then number 7 is slowly breathe, wiggle your fingers and toes, come back to the room, open your eyes, get out your pen and take some notes. Because, a lot of times this stuff is fleeting and it's easy to forget. So the best possible thing you can do if you're really looking to improve your life and get answers is write the stuff down. If you didn't get much using this process, know that it's okay. Sometimes you might just get a couple of symbols. Sometimes you might hear someone talking to you. Other times you might get a complete vision like I did. But it changes all the time. And it could change from time to time. And it changes for me as well. It's just what happens. A lot depends on your emotional state and how open you are to getting a message. And honestly, practice helps a lot. The more you try this sort of thing, the better you're going to get at it. So don't get frustrated if you have a hard time. There are times when nothing comes, and there are other times when you are completely blown away by what shows up. It's all okay. I have also found that it can help to write down and journal about the messages you receive. Then walk away from it for a while. And when you come back to read what you wrote, you might be more open to it or find the message is far clearer than you originally thought. So now you know how to approach divination with your Netflix heroes. Who do you want to talk to? Who do you want to get advice from? Hermione from Harry Potter movies, or maybe Harry himself? Merlin from King Arthur fame? Samantha Stevens, the good witch from the TV show Bewitched? Maybe you want to talk to Aquaman or Spider-Man or Ben Franklin or Oprah Winfrey, right? Anyone or any character is possible. I've heard a few great stories about people who create an imaginary board of directors. Whenever they need help with their business or whatever they're working on, they call a board meeting and they invite real people, not for real, but they invite them in their head and they get to know them in their head. And these different people, these different characters, alive or imaginary, do come to life as you meditate with them. So whether you want Oprah or Richard Branson or whoever you respect, you can talk to them in your head or on the inner plane, and no real contact is required. That is what's so great about this process. So you might want to talk to Aristotle or Cleopatra or Julius Caesar or Shakespeare. Maybe you have an uncle who passed or a grandmother who always gave you the very best advice and offered comfort as well. Perhaps you want to speak to a mermaid or a particular god or goddess. The sky is the limit, and anything is possible. People from present day, history, make believe, your ancestors, favorite characters, whatever you want. I recommend trying a few different people to see who you resonate best with. In fact, you could do your first meditation to discover who will work best. First, take time to come up with a line of potential advisors. Next, see them form a line and ask those most willing to work with you to take one step forward. So the people in your mind who are willing to help you will actually separate themselves from all the others and allow the others to disappear. And now you have a group of volunteers, right, who are ready to advise you. And you can speak to them individually, or as I did, you can ask a group, like I asked Brita and Uhtred at the same time, for their insights and guidance. And then they individually gave me their responses. Allow yourself to play with this system for divination to see how it works for you. Once you get an answer to your question, you can also check on it with your pendulum or pick cards. If you feel uncertain, ask if this is good advice for you. If you like this idea, you can also try it just for fun, for the sheer fun of the adventure. There have been times when I've been stuck someplace waiting for someone or something. I might have 10 minutes and nothing to do. I've gone on an imaginary journey just for the fun of it with no outcome or advice needed, using my imagination. Fantasy of this kind is so good for your creativity and your spirit. If you allow yourself to go on a journey just for fun with no required outcome, who knows what you might discover? I've gone swimming with a whale into the Atlantic to see if I could find Atlantis. Once I was sitting by a lake waiting for my husband, so I imagined jumping in to swim with the water spirits. Maybe you prefer to fly versus swim, and you can go with a flock of birds to get a new perspective from above. While walking on a wooded trail with my husband, I saw a big rock one time and I thought about doing a quick meditation. So I sat on that big rock and I closed my eyes, and before I knew it, in my mind, I had sunk below the surface of the ground into a very large tunnel. There I saw a 4-foot tall mole, I kid you not, wearing business attire. This was the craziest thing. He had a white shirt on and a vest and suit pants, and his sleeves were rolled up, and he had glasses perched on his mole nose. And the mole proceeded to give me health advice, telling me what my husband and I both needed while he looked through the pages of a newspaper. This is completely bizarre, but it was really fun. The whole thing was so strange and whimsical and totally unexpected. When I came back and opened my eyes, I actually couldn't remember one thing the mole said to me because I was so floored by the whole experience. Only the unusual vision, which took me completely off guard. It's amazing what your mind is capable of. Building up your skill to use your imagination in this way and talking to spirit types can lead to rich opportunities to get to know more about yourself in unexpected ways. These journeys can be highly creative and tons of fun, and you might gain some amazing insights into your next steps or a better understanding of what's going on with you right now. Naturally, you are always in charge of what advice you follow. Check in with yourself to make sure the suggestions or information feel right to you. Does it make sense? Does it seem preposterous? Ultimately, you are in charge, regardless of what anyone else has to say or offer, human, in real life, or in your visions and meditations. There are other ways you can tap into this creative method of divination in case you have any difficulties with seeing or hearing messages. People have different ways of getting their information. Some people feel it, others just have a sense of knowing, like they get just blocks of information all at once. A lot of times people refer to that as a download, where they just get a whole bunch of information all at once and it's hard to hold on to. That's when you really want to write down as much as you can remember when you come out of it. What happens if when you sit down to meditate, nothing comes? That's when I recommend automatic writing. Your setup is the same. Decide who you want advice from or who you want to talk to. Know what your question is before you start. Get a pen and paper to write out whatever comes to mind. I recommend lighting a candle and putting on some music, something instrumental without lyrics, because that would be distracting. The candle and the music are for setting up like the tone or the ritual or the atmosphere to help you get into the spirit of what you're doing. Once you ask your character the question, or your hero, put your pen to paper and begin writing. Now you write even if you have no idea what to write. You can just write that. I have no idea what to write. I have no idea what to write, but I'm sitting here writing and waiting for answers, writing and waiting, writing and waiting, writing and waiting, whatever it is. Will the character Uhtred show up? Are you here now with my answers? Please start speaking to me now or show me symbols that I can write down and take note of, right? So you can just keep asking and talking while you're writing, but the idea is you get your pen moving, and then before you know it, this is how you get into the flow. Just keep writing, even if it feels really stupid or silly. And often before you know it, a conversation will begin in your mind. And the faster you write it, the more the words will flow. It's just such an amazing process. One thing I noticed from doing this type of divination is if you are prone to doubt yourself or criticize yourself, what I recommend is don't read what you wrote right away. Instead, wait a few hours or even until the next day. Many times, to be honest with you, I have read what I wrote immediately after finishing and I completely discounted it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. But I'll go back and read it a few days later and I'll go, wow, that was really good. That was so on target and helpful. Why didn't I think that was good before? And a lot of times it's because I'm too emotional about something or really frustrated and feel like I'm never getting anywhere. And, I'm hard on myself. So if you have those tendencies, you might want to wait and read that later instead of reading it right away. The truth is that it's really natural to doubt, and many people experience this. And that's why I suggest waiting before you read what you wrote, in case you have that kind of gremlin inside your head, which is also called the naysayer, that wants to wreak havoc and get in your way. Because that naysayer, that gremlin is there to keep you safe and keep you from looking stupid. And that can be contradictory to the process of automatic writing. So with automatic writing, it's a wonderful way to tune into your intuition or listen to your guides or tap into your higher self for guidance on what you need to do next or what you need to understand or know about a situation. So there you have it. Today's topic, divination with your Netflix heroes or anyone that you do want to talk to, whether you listen to them or have a vision or write with them. It's super fun. I highly recommend it. It's such an adventure, and I've had fantastic results and gotten some really good guidance and information. I hope you give it a try soon and get great information and insights for yourself. Say hi to Uhtred for me. Thanks for listening today. Don't forget to like this episode if you enjoyed it, write a positive review if you feel inspired, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'll have more about love and magic next time. Until then, this is Oceana Fortuna reminding you to share your love and seek magic every day.